14 أذار حتى نحقق الحرية التي ننشدها جميعا.
Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, March 20th. I'm Yumna Naufal, and these are today's headlines. U.S. President Barack Obama makes a visit to Israel for the first time since his two-term presidency, vowing peace in the Holy Land. 5 Syrian shells land near a Lebanese border in Hirmil 2 days after the first airstrikes along the border area. And the March 14 General Secretariat accuses the Syrian regime of seeking to create strife and unrest in the country. For the first time since his two-term presidency, U.S. President Barack Obama has landed in Israel. Many view the historic trip as one high in symbolism but low in expectations. The details of his first day are in this report.
As Air Force One stopped next to a huge red carpet in Tel Aviv airport, U.S. President Barack Obama was met by both Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israeli President Shimon Peres. At the welcoming ceremony soon after his arrival, Obama said that the U.S.'s commitment to Israeli security was rock solid and that peace must come to the Holy Land.
As I begin my second term as president, Israel is the first stop on my first foreign trip. This is no accident. Across this region, the winds of change bring both promise and peril. So I see this visit as an opportunity to reaffirm the unbreakable bond between our nations, to restate America's unwavering commitment to Israel's security, and to speak directly to the people of Israel and to your neighbors.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also expressed the importance of a strong U.S.-Israeli alliance.
In an unstable and uncertain Middle East, the need for our alliance is greater than ever. It's the key to thwarting dangers to advancing peace. It's the key to achieve a stable and secure peace that the people of Israel yearn for all our neighbors and with all our hearts. We seek a peace with our Palestinian neighbors.
Despite the optimism in the leader's speeches, however, low expectations overshadow Obama's visit. Hopes for new policy are low, with the White House having deliberately minimized expectations of any major breakthroughs. The apparent lack of any substantial policy push has bemused any diplomats and analysts. Meanwhile, Palestinian protesters demonstrate in Hebron and Gaza City in response to Obama's visit. Waving Palestinian flags and banners, protesters chanted anti-Obama slogans, while a handful of the protesters set portraits of the U.S. leader ablaze. Ramallah Baker owner Nasser Abdelhadi is known for producing goods related to political events. Abdelhadi celebrated Obama's first visit to Israel in 2008 with a special cheese-filled bagel, as he was hopeful that Obama would bring about change to the Palestinian case. Today, however, he marks Obama's visit with an empty bagel to show that things have gotten worse over the past few years.
Well, Obama also insists that now is the time for Iran to take meaningful steps to resolve its nuclear standoff with the West, as he issued a direct appeal to the Iranian people on the eve of the first official trip to Israel. He used the occasion of Iran's New Year celebration, as he has in the past, to try to ratchet up pressure on Tehran. But this time, he focused squarely on its disputed nuclear program.
As I have every year as president, I want to take this opportunity to speak directly to the people and leaders of Iran. Since taking office, I've offered the Iranian government an opportunity. If it meets its international obligations, then there could be a new relationship between our two countries, and Iran could begin to return to its rightful place among the community of nations. I have no illusions about the difficulty of overcoming decades of mistrust. It will take a serious and sustained effort to resolve the many differences between Iran and the United States. This includes the world's serious and growing concerns about Iran's nuclear program, which threatens peace and security in the region and beyond. Iran's leaders say that their nuclear program is for medical research and electricity. To date, however, they have been unable to convince the international community that their nuclear activities are solely for peaceful purposes. That's why the world is united in its resolve to address this issue and why Iran is now so isolated. The people of Iran have paid a high and unnecessary price because of your leaders' unwillingness to address this issue. As I've said all along, the United States prefers to resolve this matter peacefully, diplomatically. Indeed, if, as Iran's leaders say, their nuclear program is for peaceful purposes, then there is a basis for a practical solution. It's a solution that would give Iran access to peaceful nuclear energy while resolving once and for all the serious questions that the world has about the true nature of the Iranian nuclear program. The United States, alongside the rest of the international community, is ready to reach such a solution. Now's the time for the Iranian government to take immediate and meaningful steps to reduce tensions and work toward an enduring, long-term settlement of the nuclear issue. Finding a solution will be no easy task. But if we can, the Iranian people will begin to see the benefits of greater trade and ties with other nations, including the United States.
Accusations of the use of chemical weapons continue by the Syrian regime, rebels, troops, and their respective allies. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ramin Mahmoudparst said Iran strongly condemns the inhumane act by armed opposition groups in using chemical weapons in the city of Aleppo. Spokesmen from the Russian government made similar accusations against the Syrian rebels, claiming it had information from Damascus that rebels had used chemical weapons. White House spokesman Jay Carney, on the other hand, said the United States had no evidence to substantiate the charge. Meanwhile, the UN Director General of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, Ahmed Uzumku, shared deep concern about the accusations and pledged to maintain close contact as developments unfolded. This comes a day after the Syrian regime and the rebels accused each other of using weapons for the first time since the uprisings began in March of 2011. 5 Syrian shells landed near a Lebanese border town in the northeast 2 days after Syrian airstrikes along the border area. Well, the national news agency said the shells landed on the outskirts of the town of Al-Qasr in Hermel district. There was no report of casualties, but a local security services official revealed that around 9 a.m. this morning, 2 shells and a rocket fell on the outskirts of the village of Sahlet al-Ma that lies near Al-Qasr. The area is adjacent to Syria's Homs province, the scene of heavy fighting in recent months between rebels and regime forces. Residents said the missiles had fallen near a stone mill. The shelling came as President Michel Sleiman condemned Syria for carrying out the unacceptable airstrikes he called on Monday. The March 14 General Secretariat has accused the Syrian regime of seeking to create strife and unrest in the country. The most recent of these attempts are the attacks against the Al-Fatwa clerics in Beirut. Well, it demanded in a statement after its weekly meeting that a complaint be filed at the United Nations Security Council to protest the Syrian regime's ongoing violations of Lebanon's sovereignty, especially after its jets shelled Lebanese territory. Syrian warplanes hit on Monday targets along Syria's border with Lebanon. And given of these latest developments, the March 14 General Secretariat praised President Sleiman's positions and his order to Foreign Minister Adnan Mansour to take the necessary diplomatic measures, which entail the summoning of the Syrian ambassador to Lebanon, Ali Abdel Karim Al-Ali, to make the Syrian regime answer to its acts. Sleiman has officially wrapped up a week-long trip to West Africa while underscoring the need to maintain Lebanon's dissociation policy toward the crisis in Syria. Lebanon remains an oasis of moderation, he said, and for this reason, quote, we have adopted the Babda Declaration, which calls for Lebanon's neutrality towards the crisis. Sleiman told the Lebanese community in Lagos, Nigeria, which was the last leg of his West African tour. He was accompanied by his wife and a nearly 60-member delegation, which arrived in Beirut this morning, ending the tour that also took him to the Ivory Coast, Senegal, and Ghana. His tour also saw the signing of a number of agreements and opened areas for investment exchange between Lebanese businessmen and their counterparts in the 4 West African countries he visited. 3 people were killed when a passenger bus collided with a truck on Al Bouar highway north of Beirut, according to the Lebanese Red Cross. The 3 were instantly killed when the bus with Syrian license plates hurtled into the truck. The Red Cross official Georges Keteni said 5 people were injured and that 4 of them were in critical condition. The impact of the crash left the front of the bus in a mangled wreck. Coming up next, David Beckham is on a 5-day mission in China to revive the image of football. Stay with us for more. And the UN's mission in Afghanistan for another year. With a vote of 15 in favor and none opposed, the Council approved the extension of the United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan until March 19, 2014.
Afghanistan's greatest need is peace. I welcome the joint U.S.-Afghan declaration adopted in January supporting greater coherence of reconciliation efforts. Expectations must be realistic. Reconciliation efforts will not be quick or easy. The United Nations is pushing for a culture of peace, including support for a second phase of the Afghan people's dialogue. Afghanistan's people must come together not only to shun conflict, but to assume leadership and ownership of the transition process for the sake of one Afghanistan. This is essential to end more than 30 years of conflict and establish true and lasting peace.
Now for news around the world, South Korea's police are investigating a suspected cyber attack on the country's major broadcasters and 2 large banks. Officials say Shinhan Bank, one of the banks affected, regained control of its computer network later today. Reporters said that South Korea appeared to have fallen victim to a highly planned attack. Initial speculation, however, centered on a potential hacking attack by North Korea, which has hacked already South Korean institutions. The police did not comment on the possible causes of the outages. 2 grenades explode outside Turkey's Justice Ministry in the Turkish capital of Ankara, days before an expected ceasefire with Kurdish rebels. Officers of the ruling AK party have also been hit by a light anti-tank weapon. Turkish Justice Minister Sadullah Ergin said 1 person was slightly injured in the ministry attack. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. The ceasefire call could also include a command to Öcalan's Kurdistan Workers' Party fighters to withdraw from Turkey to their bases in northern Iraq. And a man claiming to be a spokesman for Al-Qaeda in North Africa says a French hostage has been executed in Mali. A French official said Paris was trying to verify the report of the killing of Philippe Verdon, who was kidnapped in November of 2011. Al-Qayrawani, claiming to be a spokesman for Al-Qaeda and the Islamic Maghreb group, told reporters that the spy Verdon had been executed on March 10th in response to France's intervention in northern Mali. David Beckham begins a 5-day mission to improve the image of football, or soccer as it's known, in China. The former England captain had a kick around with the star-struck young players at a Beijing school today. He took to a training pitch in shirt and tie and later posed for pictures with players and pupils. On his last stop in China on Sunday, he also will have visited Beijing's national stadium known as Bird Nest with his wife Victoria. Earlier in the month, China named Beckham as its first global soccer ambassador to revive the game's image, which has been hit by a match-fixing scandal and an exodus of international stalwarts from the country's Premier League.
The biggest country in the world, and there's so many young children here that want to play the game and want to become professional, and hopefully I could give them advice and help them. I'm here to be an ambassador for the grassroots football and for the the continued success of the game leading forward, whatever's gone on in the past. I'm helping in the education for young kids and young inspiring footballers, simple as that. I'm not here to clean up anything. I'm here to educate the children and give them a chance to become professional footballers.
Let's petition for Beckham to visit Lebanon soon. And on that note, we end our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our top stories. U.S. President Barack Obama makes a visit to Israel for the first time since his 2-term presidency, vowing peace in the Holy Land. 5 Syrian shells land near Lebanese border in Hermel 2 days after the first airstrikes along the border area. And the March 14 General Secretariat accuses the Syrian regime of seeking to create strife and unrest in the country. Those are your Wednesday headlines live on Future Television. Noor Ael will be here tomorrow for all the headlines and more. Until then, take care.
14 أذار حتى نحقق الحرية التي ننشدها جميعا.